that Rabbi, it says in the Gemara that Rabbi would always start with a joke, and his students would laugh. So he includes the part about the students laughing. I don't want anyone to feel any pressure. I usually am not so funny in the beginning. Sometimes in the middle, I'll think of a joke, but it's good to mention laughing. Okay, so tomorrow night is Lag BaOmer. So just to give some history to Rabbi Shimon. So Rabbi Shimon passed away in 165 of the Common Era after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. We know his students wrote Zohar, and he initiated a new era of revealing Jewish mysticism. And he requested that the day of his passing would be a day of joy, Hilula. So this is the first yurtzeit that's referred to as a Hilula. And we know that it wasn't, we celebrate Rabbi Shimon's yurtzeit different than other yurtzeits. We don't, on his yurtzeit, hundreds of thousands of people come to Meron and Jews dance together. This year we'll have to have a virtual dancing together. So let's see, what can I share with you? The story of Rabbi Shimon and his Hilula. Let's see. So we know Hashem sent a piece of himself into the world to make the world holy. And this piece has a long history, has a long Jewish history, this piece of Hashem in the world. We know Rivka said to Yaakov, we'll make you look like part of the world. We'll give you Esav's clothing. But remember your mission. Remember who you really are. Remember that you need to transmit Yitzchak's brachas. And some Jews forget that they're really Yaakov. It's a strong duality. And it's a duality. So if we're spiritual, someone could say, hang out with the angels. And if we're physical, chill out a little bit. So Rivka is the one who sends Yaakov in to receive the brachas. And just it reminds me as a little footnote that all big decisions in Tanakh were made by women. I'll just give a small history of those big decisions. Okay, it's Chava that says, let's eat the Eitz Hadas. It's Sarah that says Yishmol is not part of the Jewish people. Rivka is the one who makes sure the brachas go to Yaakov. Rachel is the one who decides that Yaakov should have 2 wives, 4 wives, not just Rachel. Moshe is only born because of his sister Miriam. So, okay, that was my footnote. So Yaakov looks like Esav. So he'll have a relationship with the world in order to transform it. And the Rebbe in the 1980s said, Esav is ready to receive moral guidance from Yaakov. And that's when the Rebbe started the Sheva Mitzvahs campaign, that Esav was ready now to get the brachas that Yitzchak gave to him through Yaakov. Okay, so the story of Yaakov continues. We have Lavan pursuing Yaakov. Yaakov is trying to get home to Eretz Yisrael. Lavan comes, his difficult father-in-law who tried to squeeze everything he could out of him, comes after him. Lavan says, why did you leave me? I would have sent you off with a party. Yaakov says, why did you chase me? I was scared you'd take my children away from me. Lavan says, the daughters are mine. As a matter of fact, everything is mine. Okay, Lavan says, let's make a bris. Let's make a heap of rocks. Gal Eid. I won't pass over to your side to do evil. You won't pass over to my side to do evil. Rashi says for business they can cross over. So this was Gal Eid. Gal Gimel Lamed, like Lag BaOmer, the Gal between the inner reality and the outer reality. If the passing will cause negativity, we can't pass. If learning Kabbalah will cause negativity, we can't pass. But if it's beneficial, the passing is allowed. So if it's beneficial, we can learn the Pneumius and bring down the Pneumius of Torah, only if it's beneficial. Gal Einai, open my eyes and let me see the wonders in your Torah. So this is Pneumius of Torah. galenai, to see the wonders of Pnimius HaTorah. So it's a gal between Nigla, between the revealed part of Torah and the Pnimius of Torah. The surface layer, halacha, the surface layer of Yiddishkeit, the Nigla, doesn't deal with emotions. It doesn't deal with the chaotic madness at the source of consciousness. It doesn't deal with existential loneliness. This is an inner journey. So there's the gal. For negativity, we can't cross over this gal. Rabbi Shimon wrote after the Horban, after the Jews were dispersed. He gave us the resources to confront the inner complexities of the spirit that we were going to face here in the gullus, this long, long gullus. So the Rebbe speaks a lot about bows and arrows. We'll speak more about it. But for the arrow, we know high school physics. High school physics teaches us that for the arrow to go far, we have to pull the bow back to ourselves. The more we pull the bow back to ourselves, the further the arrow will go. So Rabbi Shimon taught us how deep we'll go within ourselves is how deep we can connect with other people. So the Hilula, it's the Hilula of the body, Lag BaOmer is the Hilula, the wedding of the soul and the body. Again, it's the first yurtzeit that's called the Hilula. And again, it's separate, it's celebrated differently. Other yurtzeits, we light a yurtzeit candle. Here we need a bonfire. Yes. So I want to share a mimer from the Mittler Rebbe, the second Chabad Rebbe. He wrote a mimer called Lahavin Inyan de Hilula de Rashbi. Actually, just a few insights from this mimer. The mimer itself is 50 pages long. It was based on a short mimer of the Alter Rebbe. And the Mittler Rebbe begins it with a Gemara from Eruvin, Gemara Eruvin 54b. What does it say there? It says, quote, Reb Yehuda told Reb Shmuel, this world from where we are coming is comparable to a hilula, a chasana. Grab and eat, grab and drink. So usually grabbing is not considered the best behavior, right? We don't say grab and eat, grab and drink when you go to a wedding, but look, this is what it's saying. So we have to figure out, what does this mean? What does this Gemara mean? So introduction. First we have to speak about, what is a chasana, a chatuna? What is it? So it's the merging of two opposites. All people have different opinions. It says no two people have the same opinions, no two people, just like no two people have the same faces. No two snowflakes are alike. So on the one hand, marriage can be restricting. I have to take another person into account. I can't always do what I want. But on the other hand, it taps into Hashem's infinity. So generations can be born from this chasana. And then there's another marriage that we learn about, the marriage of the body and the soul. The marriage in the body and the soul. They don't have an easy shalom bias, the body and the soul. It's not easy. It's not easy, the soul and the body. It's a struggle. They have different opinions on most subjects, what to do. But something through that not easy shalom bias of the body and the soul, something is created that the soul would not have if it had remained in heaven. There's the possibility of infinite growth once the soul and the body are connected. The idea of a mahalech. Zechariah says the angels are all omdim, they're all standing still, they can't move, but the soul and a body are possible to have infinite growth, only through that chasana, that hilula of the body and the soul. So what does it mean, grab and eat, grab and drink? Grab every opportunity to do a mitzvah. Grab every opportunity to do a mitzvah. This is what the Rashbi is telling us, the infinite possibility of the soul and the body in this chasana, infinite opportunity to connect, infinite opportunity for the soul to grow, which it could never do without the risks of maintaining shalom bayis with the body. In the 1940s, but before the Rebbe became Rebbe, the Rebbe would bring in 770 every Shabbos Mavorchim after Kiddush. The Rebbe would bring, and at that time there was a world-famous Jewish chess player named Sam Reshevsky who would come to 770 in the afternoon. So the Rebbe once addressed chess as a subject, because we know the Baal Shem Tov teaches everything we hear about as a lesson in our avoda. So in chess, there has to be lessons. There are all these pieces like angels, there's the king and the queen, and the pawns, that's us, we're the pawns. So when the pawn gets to the other side of the board, it can become a queen. So the possibility of transformation is there. We have this possibility to transform our lives through this marriage of the soul and the body. So that's one idea I wanted to share. And then some more stuff about Rabbi Shimon. I wanted to talk more about the concept of the bow. Because the bow has two ideas. The bow has two very exciting ideas in high school physics. Again, there's the bow and arrow, one of the symbols of Lag BaOmer. Children go out to the fields with bows and arrows. Rabbi Shimon is compared to a living rainbow. Oh, we'll get up to that. Okay. So, in the Yerushalmi Talmud, it says, all the days of Rabbi Shimon, there was no rainbow. Rashi says there were generations that didn't require a rainbow because there were tzaddikim, and such as the generation of Rabbi Shimon. So this is in Bereshis chapter 9, line 12. Hashem says, the rainbow is the sign of a bris forever not to destroy the worlds. So one of the three famous songs of Lag BaOmer that are sung in Meron, V'amarta Kol Achai, by Rabbi Yosef Chaim of Baghdad, it says, all the days he lived, there was no rainbow, because he was a living rainbow, Adonenu Bar Yochai, a living rainbow. So that is quite a quality. You know, you could see how if you were to meet a living rainbow, there would be a certain attraction right away, wanting to get to know that living rainbow. So that was Rabbi Shimon. So let's talk about different references to rainbows, now that we know that Rabbi Shimon was a living rainbow. Yeheskel, the Navi Yeheskel, Ezekiel, chapter 1, line 28, describes his vision. He says it was like the appearance of a rainbow, Kamare Hakeshet, like the vision of a rainbow on a rainy day, brightness all around, like Mare Demus Kavod Hashem, like a vision like the glory of Hashem. And he compares what he saw. He had to compare it to something. He compares it to a rainbow. So this is one idea of the rainbow, and it's the exact same word for the bow. Keshet is the same word in Hebrew. In English also, it's the same word, the rainbow and the bow and arrow. The Bnei Yisachar says we play with a bow on Lag BaOmer as a sign that in the days of Rabbi Shimon, a rainbow was never seen, a rainbow was never needed. So on the day he ascended on high, on Lag BaOmer, a rainbow is needed again. So this leaves us with a question. Is there really a connection between a bow and arrow and a rainbow? And it seems, is the rainbow a positive symbol or a negative symbol? Lag BaOmer is a day of joy. Why are we connecting it to something that seems to have to be a negative symbol? So we need a deeper perspective. Okay. So the Zohar, in Parshas Noach, page 72b, says, do not expect the footsteps of Mashiach until you see the rainbow with many bright colors shining upon the earth. So now we're saying that you see a rainbow, get ready for the footsteps of Mashiach. Then in Shmuel, Navi Shmuel, book 1, chapter 20, it says David was hunted by Shaul. Yonasan loved David. Yonasan was the heir to the throne, but his love for David was more than his interest in becoming king. And David loved Yonasan. Yonasan says, you will be remembered because your seat will be empty. And they make a code about shooting arrows. Is the code between them. David is on the run for a long time. At the end, as we know at the end of the story, David is saved and he becomes king. But why arrows? Why was that the code? Why didn't they have a different code? They could have had a code language. Why did arrows have to be part of the story? So we're going to get to that. Okay, then when Yaakov Avinu speaks to Yosef, he says to him, I have given you the city of Shem more than your brothers, which I took from the Amori with my sword, Baharbi, and with my bow, Bakashti. So there we have a bow again coming into the picture, another bow, a bow from a bow and arrow. So the Alter Rebbe in Torah Or, Parshas Vayechi, talks about this. The Alter Rebbe says, the first Chabad Rebbe, the Baal HaTanya, says the first weapons people had were for hand-to-hand combat. So this was a sword. A sword was used in hand-to-hand combat. But sometimes your enemy is further away. Sometimes our enemy is invisible. So we need new weapons. So a bow and arrow are newer weapons. Yitzchak mentions the bow and arrow. Yaakov Avinu mentions the bow and arrow. And we know that every physical phenomenon originates in a metaphysical reality. So we have, on a psychological level, we have exposed enemies, revealed enemies. And on the other hand, we have concealed enemies. So the man who invented the bow and arrow, it was a paradox. What's the paradox? The bow has to be pulled back towards our heart in order for the arrow to go far, right? Learn in high school physics, it's actually the amount of work that you put into pulling it back is how far the arrow will go forward. The more close to myself I pull it, the further it travels. So we have enemies that are obvious and enemies that are distant in our subconscious. So we have enemies that eat us up from within. For these enemies, we need a bow. We struggle with these things in hand-to-hand combat. These are the revealed enemies. These are enemies that we know that we have to fight. Then we have subtle issues. There's a question of motivation. You know, I always wonder about my motivation when, you know, there's an idea when you're washing al netilas yadayim that you should try to take off your ring. So Baruch Hashem, I've had my wedding ring for 44 years. It doesn't come off so easily. It's a struggle to take it off. And I often wonder about my motivation, because if it was a pirate saying to me, take off your ring, let's say I have a certain, or I might struggle. Am I struggling? How much is my motivation? So motivation is something more panemius. It's something we have to look within ourselves to decide, where is my below the surface? What's happening in my subconscious? Can we penetrate our ego? Can we reach our soul? These are all the deeper, the more subtle things. These are the things we need the bow and arrow for. It's not enough, the hand-to-hand combat. We have to be able to go deeper. So the bow, again, the more we pull it closer to our heart, the arrow goes more distantly. If I go deep into myself through all the layers of my subconscious, I can reach the essence of my soul. But there are subtle enemies that we need to defeat in order to get there. So in the Torah, Yaakov says, Baharbi ubakashti, enemies that I defeated with my sword, and which represents the nigla, the halacha, And then Bakashti is the Nister, the Kabbalah, the Pneumius Sator, what Rabbi Shimon gave us, what we're celebrating on Lag BaOmer. Civil, so the Nigla is civil relations, obligations, the laws of Pesach, Mezuzah, to challenge our appetites. And then we get to Kabbalah, to Pneumius, to Hasidus, the inner dynamics, the dynamics of our soul. This is what Rabbi Shimon gave to us, which we're celebrating tomorrow night, Lag BaOmer, where we can explore our psyche, we can defeat subtle enemies. So in life, we all go through avodas habirurim. We go through the service of wherever we find ourselves, wherever Hashem placed us. We're there to elevate sparks. The bow is pulled down low. We have to engage the darkness of the animal soul. The lower it's pulled, the higher the arrow will reach. The more we confront our lowness, the higher places we can reach in our intimate relationship with Hashem. And this is what Pneumius Satorah was given to us, that we should develop an intimate relationship with Hashem. It's not, there's the halacha, there's the nigla side of it, and then there's the personal side for each of us. So pulling that arrow, avodas habirurim, elevating those sparks. So back to the story of Shaul. Shaul was the king. The job of the king is to heal the world. I think that's a good job for the king. To complete the birurim, to align the world with its creator, to go deeper, to reveal to reveal godliness. So Yonasan is shooting 3 arrows. And the arrows represent, this is the code between Yonasan and David, when Yonasan is telling David whether it's safe for him to come back, that Shaul is able to accept him, whether he's going to have to go out into, well, David will have to go deep into the world and complete the avodas habirurim, the avoda of purifying the world. So the 3 arrows represent the work of confronting the darkness of the world, sublimating the darkness of the world, and transforming it. Dealing with unholiness, the unholiness within ourselves, confronting the darkness, and not falling into despair. Yes, joy, the joy of Lag BaOmer should lift us all up out of despair. Yes. So the code is, Yonasan says, if I say the arrows are close, it means the work of sublimating the world has been completed. Who is the master of this? The king. Shaul will determine if avodas habirurim has been completed. If the arrows are far, it means the avodah of birurim has not been completed, and David must embark on his long journey to complete the purification of the world, the refinement and purification of the world. So this is, again, in Shmuel 20, chapter 20, line 21. Yonatan says, if I tell the boy the arrows are close, Chai Hashem, the presence of Hashem can live in the world. And Yonasan continues, if I say the arrows are further, you must begin the journey through the veil of tears, of chaos. Don't be scared, he tells David, Ki shalachecha Hashem, because Hashem has sent you. This is a journey that Hashem has sent. Yonasan is telling David, don't be afraid. This is a journey that Hashem is sending you on. Hashem is sending you on this journey to purify the sparks in the world. Shaul is king. He's the one who'll determine if the work is done. If the arrows are far, David must run from place to place. But this running from place to place is to do birurim. Okay, so Gemara Avodah Zorah 5a says, David created the Ola Shel Tshuva, the Ol of Tshuva, the yoke of Tshuva. the ultimate birurim. So tshuva means using darkness as a catalyst for growth. We know in Gemara Yuma 86b, there's the famous line that if we do tshuva out of fear of punishment, our intentional sins are considered like mistakes, because if I knew then what I know now, I never would have done it. And then it continues and says, and if we do tshuva out of love, our intentional sins are redefined as mitzvahs. Because that's what gave us, they became a catalyst for growth. So why define something as a sin, as a transgression? Why define something as a mistake? Let's define the same thing as a catalyst for growth. If we become deeper people and more compassionate people and less judgmental people because of experiences in our life, we may as well redefine it as catalysts for growth. So this was David's journey. This was David. We learned tshuva from David, that darkness can be a catalyst for growth. Okay, now a little more high school physics about the rainbow. So why do we get a rainbow? What is happening on a high school physics level of reality? The rays of the sun are passing through water droplets. The cloud in the air is made out of water droplets. The sun passes through the water droplets, and they refract and disperse the light of the sun into the colors of the rainbow. The white light of the sun becomes the colors of the rainbow. That's why before the Mabul, there weren't any rainbows. The Mabul, there was a change in the physicality of the earth at the time of the Mabul. So at that time, the raindrops became purified to the extent that they could refract and disperse light into a rainbow. So why was this chosen by Hashem as a bris, not to bring a flood? Because there are moments in history when the clouds refract the light and display the colors in a bright way. Above the clouds, we know, if everyone knows from air travel, it's all sunlight. The clouds themselves refract the light of the sun, and the darkness becomes a vehicle for light. The darkness of the cloud itself becomes the vehicle for the light of the rainbow. So Hashem looks at the world. I want to destroy it, but the rainbow reminds Hashem that the world has potential for tshuva and healing, that from the clouds themselves, from the darkness of themselves, comes the light of the rainbow. The world has the potential for tshuva and healing. Hashem should let the world be. Bring on the tshuva and healing. So the Zohar says, when you see a rainbow, you can wait for Mashiach. The birurim are almost completed. Mashiach is on his way. Okay, back to Shmuel, Yonatan to David. I'm going to shoot 3 arrows. The Arizal in his Likutei Torah says, why 3 arrows? Because the colors of the rainbow are basically 3 main colors, and the other colors are combinations of these colors. And the Arizal tells us the 3 basic colors of the rainbow represent the sublimating of darkness and revealing light, making the world into an abode for Hashem. So again, the word keshet is a bow and a rainbow. It's the same word, this keshet. It has all these connections with Pnimius HaTorah and all these connections with Rabbi Shimon. Okay, here's another favorite. Gal Einai. So Tehillim 119, line 18. This 119 is the Lubavitch Rebbe's kapitel for this year. Gal Einai va'abita niflaos misorasecha. Open my eyes, and I will see the wonders in your Torah. Gal Einai, open my eyes. So there's the word Gal, and again, Gal is Lag. Gal is 33, like Lag BaOmer is the 33rd day. So this is the day that Rabbi Shimon, this is the day of the Hilula, the day of the Chasana of Rabbi Shimon, who revealed Kabbalah, who revealed the Pnimius of Torah to the world. And what are the wonders he revealed? Gal Einai, the wonders of the bow, the wonders of him, the more deeply we go into ourselves, the more deeply we can connect with other people, and the fact that we can turn darkness into bright colors. The darkness of our life can be transformed into bright colors through Pnimius Satorah. So there's different ways of seeing the world, as we all know, because we all see the world in different ways, depending on our experience, depending on our mood, depending on the moment. So we ever studied secular history, it's a series of events. It's not an idea that history has a purpose, that we're moving towards Mashiach, that we're moving in a direction of revelation. But Jewish history has a purpose. Let the clouds refract the sunlight. We can go deeply into our hearts. We can see what it means to be a Jew. So this was Hashem put himself. Hashem put a piece of himself into the world. He put a piece of his essence into the world. And here we are, the Jewish people. And to not forget it, because we do have a garment, we're in this world. We shouldn't start to think, because we were put in Esav's garments, that we're Esav, to remember that we're Jewish people. So the evolution of history with a purpose, what it means to be a Jew. So Rabbi Shimon gave us this bow to explore our souls, and to be able to bring Mashiach, the Pnimius Mashiach within, which is a way of bringing Mashiach for everybody. There's a story I want to share. There was a shliach who went out in the 1940s, Rabbi Zalman Posner. In the late 1940s, Rabbi Posner was offered a position in a small town in Nashville, Tennessee, where there was no kosher food, there was no Jewish infrastructure. And what did it mean at that time in the 1940s to go to such a place? He was a chassid of the previous Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, and he had yechidus. He had a personal meeting with the Frierdiker Rebbe and asked whether he should accept this position as a rabbi in Nashville, Tennessee. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, the soul, before it's born, doesn't want to come into this world. The soul is in a warm and bright place. Why go down to a place that's kalt und finster, that's cold and dark? But Hashem tells the soul, no, you must go down. At this time, when they had this meeting together, Rabbi Zalman Posner and the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe was almost paralyzed. It was hard for him to make a gesture with his hand. That he made a gesture with his holy hand. He lowered his hand. You must go down to a place that's kalt and finster, that's cold and dark. And there you could make it varm and lichte. That is the challenge. And Zalman Posner embarked on this journey of the soul. He made Nashville, Tennessee into a place that's warm and light, to bring warmth and light into the world. This is a bracha that the Rebbe often gave young couples that had yechidus, that your house should be a place of warmth and light. So Rabbi Shimon revealed the light within the clouds. We play with bows and arrows on Lag BaOmer. He gave the world the bow. When he was alive, he represented a rainbow. He was a living rainbow. They didn't subgroups. A woman said that she was once pulling her car out. I think the story took place in South Africa. She was once pulling her car out and she was hit by another car. A guy got out and said, this is an opportunity for growth. And he took care of everything. And it just made a very big impression on her opportunity for growth, like to see situations. This is the avodas habirurim, the situation that we find ourselves. Whatever the situation, it should be an opportunity for growth. So Galeinai. So Galeinai is a wonderful organization. It's a wonderful name for an organization. Gal is Lag, Lag Bahomer, Panemius Satora. And maybe I'll give a plug to, there's a book in English by Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg called Transforming Darkness into Light. It's a book of psychology, taking the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe and turning it into words that we can all understand in our psychological growth. It talks about, the Baal Shem Tov talks about 3 stages in psychological growth. He speaks about Hachna'ah, Havdalah, and Hamtakah. So what do these words mean? In English, it's hard to give an exact translation, but Hachna'ah is often translated as submission. It means making the problem smaller, making the anxiety smaller, making what's bothering us smaller, because if it's big, if my anxiety is filling my whole reality, it's hard to step out of it. It's hard to look at it objectively. So it's really making the ego smaller. Like there's a whole big universe and a whole history of the world, of the Jewish people, to make my problem smaller. That's Hachna'ah. That's the Baal Shem Tov's first step. The second step, Havdalah, separation, means stepping out of it. Let's look at it objectively. What is my problem objectively? Let's look at it from different angles and different sides. And then Hamtakah is the into going deep within ourselves so we can turn it all into an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to realize our potential. The Rebbe always encouraged people to challenge themselves, that we should realize our potential, we should grow in all the ways that we can. Lag BaOmer is a time to celebrate. I'm not sure what we're going to do about bonfires this year, but it's a time to use, it's a time to connect with the soul of Rabbi Shimon. It's a day of great joy when prayers are answered. So l'chaim, l'chaim. Thank you very much for listening. Sending love and warm blessings from Bat Ayin, from the mountains of Yehuda. Shalom, shalom.